We can't be living for today. We need to be acting for the good of mankind. In 1962, my dad came to the United States of America as a legal immigrant. Worked 3 full-time jobs, enough to save enough money to then bring my mom and I a year later. We came here on a cargo ship. They're stuck in my mind. I remember entering New York Harbor and seeing the Statue of Liberty there to greet us as at that point we were being pulled in by tugboats. Mom was crying, and there was another mom with her son, and she was crying. I remember all that. It was pretty emotional. 6 years had passed, and my parents were able to buy a home. And of course that was pretty exciting. And you look at the situation today in this country, immigrant or naturally born citizens would have a very tough time today being able to purchase a home. But immigrants as a whole, if you read between the lines, are now becoming more and more of a scapegoat for the economic decline of this country. And that would not be happening if everyone felt that they were earning enough money to sustain themselves, have disposable income, have a life, go on vacation, enjoy themselves. Instead, it was carved away bit by bit by bit. We have a growing police state. We have a military presence in 150 countries around the world. We have an almost $800 billion military budget. When we've got 43 million people living in poverty, more than half the country has $1,000 or less in savings accounts. That's scary because people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So if our voting public is really focused on surviving, they don't have the luxury of being able to focus on the political climate that we're stuck in. Unfortunately, Congress has been kicking the immigration can down the road here for decades, and it's time that we stood up and did what's right, not just for these immigrants, but let's do what's right for everyone. All these things are steps in trying to regain control over the electoral process and try to take corporate and special interest influence out of how government gets created and then governed. I see the Citizens United decision as one of the most egregious acts taken by the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Equating money to speech basically has turbocharged the corruption in the system, the legal corruption, if you will. People, once they get into office, they forget why they got in there. Instead, they're worried about how they're going to stay in there. I don't believe that you can be elected to office under the false premise that you're taking corporate money, and the minute you get elected, then turn around and say, "Oh, I represent you, the people now." It's hypocritical. It's disingenuous to pretend to do anything differently. At some point, Americans have to stand up and say enough is enough. The Bernie Sanders movement and our revolution and all those things that represents, the progressive ideals that represents, has to be the giant stop sign that everyone hangs on to and says enough is enough. Middle-class America has less and less disposable income to be able to spend on the things that they want, not just the things that they need per se, because we need to have a life besides just what do they say? Do you work to live or live to work, right? So we absolutely will not now or ever take any corporate donations. We are a grassroots campaign. I'm running because our system's broken, and we have a situation for years now where corporate America is taking over how we govern, both domestically and around the world. It's change that's needed. We need to get rid of the status quo wherever and whenever possible right now. I can't do any of this alone. We can't be living for today. We need to be acting for the good of mankind.